said, it's interesting in my generation, we were definitely the rebellious generation. Like, we're like, we don't need you guys. We're going to do what we want. And you said one thing that's been so surprising to you is seeing people my age saying like, no, we need you guys. Please stay. Please don't run away.
I don't even have a grid for people in your age bracket saying that. I don't have a grid for that. It was not even remotely part of our experience saying we want, it was the whole rebellion thing. All the things I described earlier, all of those were signs that I'm not under my parents. I don't do what they say. I don't hold their values. So, I don't quite get, and let me just ask you this too about that, because you're saying on the one hand, you're saying we need you, we need fathers and mothers, I've heard it said.
Yep.
And yet at the same time, I'm not necessarily seeing, I hear that over and over and over, but I'm not necessarily hearing people come up to me and say, Steve, I'm stuck here. What do you recommend? I don't hear millennials. I feel like millennials want us to get that and to parent them or to father them. I don't think they really want to come up and say, Steve, I need some help here. What would you, I don't know. What is that accurate or not accurate?
I think it, okay. Yeah. So let me just gather my thoughts. I think part of it is true. Yeah. I think a lot of us haven't had godly examples of like, hey, this is how you do this, and this is how you hear from the Lord, and this is how like I know I had that to some degree. I wouldn't say that I full on had. Yes, it was like I had a great example at home of exactly how to do this and what it means to be a man and fear the Lord. Like I didn't have that. Now, thankfully, the Lord has brought people around me, but I do think that there is a degree of that where people do that. People are like, like, I want you to be my parent. I want you to, and maybe there is a degree of it where it's like, I want you to hold my hand, but then you're like, I don't want you to hold my hand.
Right. Exactly. And we've been taught, our generation, give everyone space, live and let live.
Yeah.
I'm okay, you're okay, all that crud. And so we're taught not to get in someone's space. Not that we always succeed, of course, but so I would like, for me, if there's a millennial that I know needs fathering, I would do better if that millennial said, hey, Steve, I got this problem, and it seems like the Lord wants me to ask you, what would you do if you had this problem? And I just don't think they're asking, and I'm wondering where the breakup is in that.
Maybe honestly, maybe some reconciliation needs to be done of like, hey, we're sorry for writing you off. I do know that there are some millennials who do feel written off, where you'd be like, oh, those millennials, they're a bunch of snowflakes, and they're, some of them are, some of them are, okay, I know. But I don't even really know how to do this in terms of like, okay, yeah, you are part of the baby boomer generation. I'm part of the millennial generation, but here we are together, coming together and being like, we're on the same team. Let's face the same direction. And I think that that's how the enemy, I mean, you can look at any church that implodes on itself. It's because Satan turns people on each other instead of at him. And so I think that, there's definitely a lot of that with the generations as well.
I have noticed one thing that's a little bit interesting. Not all of my kids are, there's three, we raised 3 kids. They're all adults, married kids. We have 5 grandkids, all happily married, all homeowners, all doing well. They're kind of, what was I going to say about, this is what I want to say. Not everyone is walking with the Lord the way I would want them to walk with the Lord. Or I'm going, is that okay or is that not okay? And I'm just not sure. And so I've seen them go quiet or silent because they know that whatever they're going to be into, I might not approve. Yeah. Again, my kids are all good kids. I'm not saying anything. But I have noticed something in a really positive way in your generation that seems way more this way than mine was. And that is when you go off and do your own thing and you come back around the parent figure, by and large, at least with my experience, your generation is far more respectful to us, Just like my kids are far more respectful to us than maybe I was to my parents. Somehow, because that whole hippie thing, you know, we were done with them for a while. You know, again, I'm usually speaking outside of myself because I'm in a little different. I was raised in the church, and I never left the church. I just left denominations and went to a different denomination. But does that sound like your generation? Were you more respectful to your authorities?
Yes, I can at least speak for myself. Definitely, yes. You know, and it's not. I think very much so like you, where you were like, you know, I wasn't one that was calling cops pigs. I wasn't, you know, doing some of the other stuff that a lot of my generation was, but there was a little bit of that maybe in you, you know, in terms of, and I think that there is, I would say, you know, looking at the millennial generation, I would say, yes, definitely there is a degree of that. I think because so many are so hungry for parents or parental figures, that, you know, I think that there definitely is a lot of, I think what you're seeing is actually pretty dead on.
Yeah.
But
Well,
as
I'll
with
tell you what,
any
it was
complicated.
That one attribute is mega huge to me, because if someone in your generation, maybe you're completely in a different world, but if you're respectful to me, that moves mountains with me. I'll do all kinds of things to be there for you. If you're loving, even though you know that I don't approve of that. Let's say, you know, I don't have anything in real life with you, but if someone like who's in a completely different place, even a little bit of rebellion towards God, is still loving and respectful and put your arms around me to give me a hug goodbye when you're the son, man, that goes a long way. I don't know how you guys picked that up.
I mean, you know, it's like God puts his thumbprint on every generation. And I think that maybe that's just part of it is, you know, is that, you know, but hopefully that brings some clarity to those that aren't in the millennial generation, or maybe even those that are, that it's like, we are very justice minded. We are very compassionate. And that's why you see, and again, this is on the level of madness. When it's not aligned with biblical truth and it's not aligned with the spirit, things of the spirit, it turns and goes mad, goes crazy all over the place. Militant almost is the word I would think of, because it's like, if you're like, it is an injustice to not write notes. It's a disrespect to any speaker. And I feel so passionately about this. If you don't take notes, you're the worst. And so anybody that they see that doesn't, they turn into this militant of like, you should be, it's because they care. They care about the teacher, or whoever's speaking. They want to value their time, and they want other people to know that they want them to communicate the same thing in the same way. And I think that sometimes when that gets misguided, it's like, even like opinions, it's like,